amazing tool is the Career Compass.
Cool. And I'm Darnell Lee. I'm the Deputy Chief HR Officer here, focused on the strategic side of HR. I call it the fun side, where we get to do a lot of fun and innovative things, one of which we'll preview to you today and turn it over to my boss.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to the TOC and Joy for the opportunity to meet with all of you today. I am John Salamone, the Chief Human Resource Officer for the Chief Administrative Officer at the House of Representatives. Been in this role for just about 8 years, about 8.5 years. We're excited to share a lot of the good learning and development programs that we put in place, career development programs that we put in place. Had 31 years of government service, both as a legislative branch employee, executive branch employee. I was executive director of the Chief Human Capital Officers Council at OPM, and worked as a legislative staffer in the heyday of human capital reform. And I will tell you, we are so honored and thrilled with the work that we've done here and happy to share it with you all today. Darnell, if we want to go to the next slide, I will talk a little bit about the CAO organization just to set the context, and then another slide on our strategy, and then turn it back over to Darnell and Kate so they can take us through the rest of the presentation. But just to help you as a frame of reference, the Chief Administrative Officer of the House is one of the 3 officers assigned to support the institution. We are the largest of the House officers, the other being the clerk, which helps with the day-to-day legislative functions of the House, and then the Sergeant at Arms, which provides a lot of safety security for the institution. We were established in 1995, and we are a nonpartisan, non-legislative organization with about 800 employees. Think of us as a C-suite function of the institution. We provide acquisitions, finance, logistics, IT, customer experience center. So we have a front-facing organization that works very closely with the member offices to make sure that they know what resources we have available to them, and that we are bringing the best resources to the institution, not only here in DC, but across the 900 plus district offices that we have across the country. Darnell, let's go to the next slide real quick, and then I'll turn it back over to you. Like any good organization, we have a strategic plan. Our mission is to serve the House community by performing administrative, technical, and operational solutions so members can perform their constitutional duties. And our vision, and we have these 2 sets of words highlighted and italicized, bolded and italicized, I should say. Our vision is to be essential resource for every member of the People's House through outstanding customer experience delivered by exceptional employees. Essential resource and exceptional employees are highlighted because we can't do anything without our staff, without our team members. And the resources and the transformation that we've had as an HR team over the past 8 years, going from really an operational transactional organization, which we still provide those services, but to something that provides much broader strategic human capital programs for the 800 employees, caught the attention of the Select Committee on the Modernization of Congress, and they have asked us to do more for the institution as a whole and for the member and committee and leadership offices. So we're really excited to be that essential resource delivering services through exceptional employees. We as an organization have 4 strategic goals: customer, making sure that we're serving our customers; process, which is about evaluating and innovating our processes to make sure that we are not static and modern, and continue to be modernized, I should say. Stewardship, making sure that we are protecting the assets of the House that are under our direct control. And then last but not least, the employee. As the chief of HR, it makes me incredibly proud to see that we have an employee goal in our strategic plan that is so visible. And as we cultivate and unify our workforce. So I'm going to turn it back to Darnell, who's going to give a little bit of an overview of the HR program, and then we'll get into a great overview of our career compass that Kate's going to provide to us.
Cool. Thanks, John. Moving forward. Well, just one thing that we have been working on and thinking about throughout the development of our programs is how can HR transform, and what does HR transformation look like, and where it might take us. And really out of that context and perspective has moved us into building programs like the Career Compass. So just to give you a little perspective of what strategy, how strategy is connected to the work that we're doing. As John just mentioned, our strategic plan is very much embedded into the work that we do. As a matter of fact, John always likes to say, we own 25% of the strategy of the organization. And in order for us to realize our vision and our mission, and ensure that we're providing not only being a resource, but also stimulating and building our exceptional employees, HR really needs to be the connective tissue in achieving that. And so you see here in this this page here that we're very much connected to the strategic plan, and we ensure that our operational structure, as you see here in the middle, connects to both those things, connects to our organizational strategic plan, but also we have an internal human resources strategic plan, which focuses on recruiting, developing, retaining, and securing talent throughout the life cycle of their employment here. And we're not just doing that for our own internal organization, we are also extending some of those resources and expertise to our member and committee and leadership organization, and expanding that in this era of human resource innovation. And with that, I'll also highlight one other piece that's really important to us in this journey. Over about 5 or 6 years ago, we really looked at our HR posture in the organization and realized that in order for us to be more than just a business unit, we really had to ensure that we were more consultative, that we partnered with our business, partnered with our business units and our stakeholders. We looked at the employee experience, and we were beginning to connect into really creative and innovative ways to connect and support people around the life cycle of their employment. And with that, we are consistently looking at data and engaging and tapping into the experience of employees. And with that, you'll see this on the right-hand side, are kind of outputs, graphs of what is connected to our engagement survey. And in our engagement survey, we're really trying to ensure that our staff is connected and that they have an opportunity to grow and develop. And out of that, we began to look for ways to do this more effectively and efficiently. Career development continues to be kind of one of our opportunities for growth over these couple of years. But I think we've built a really good foundation. You'll see through some of the navigation and explanation that Kate goes into next, kind of where we're taking the organization. And we're just at the beginning. There's a lot more opportunity there, which we'll share towards the end. But without further ado, I will pause for the cause and see if there's any questions or comments right now. But if not, we'll also allow Kate to kind of share a little bit about our Career Compass.
All right, doesn't look like we have any questions, but feel free to put them in. So let me share my screen and I will start walking you through our Career Compass.
All right, I'll stop sharing.
Okay, so our Career Compass is an internal site. It is actually a SharePoint. So we've really, John always says, push the limits of SharePoint with this to really try to make it feel like an authentic website for our internal employees here at the CAO, and can house all things career development for them. So it has gone through many iterations. We're always continuously looking at it, looking at data, looking at feedback from our employees to try to continue to improve it and innovate it. And so this is where we are going to start our kind of discovery today is within our CEO Career Compass. And so one of the taglines you're first going to see as you look at the page is take charge now. And that's really our message to our employees is that we really want them to recognize the role that they play within their career development, and really make sure that they know that these are tools for them in order to give them the information and the development that they need to get started in order to further develop their careers. One other thing before I go deeper into the site itself that I do want to highlight is that at the bottom, something we have continuously heard from our employees is they really like to hear actual stories and advice from people within the CAO. And so, what we've done within the site as well is we've really tried to highlight different CAO employees each quarter through our HR newsletter and then putting them here on the site. That gives people that like connection to how have other people thought about their career, leveraged the career compass, and developed within the CAO so they can get a better perspective of how they move forward. So something really cool that we've recently built on and have gotten a lot of good feedback on. But to start with, I do want to highlight that something that we have really kind of focused in on within the Career Compass is our message that this is for both employees and for supervisors. And so when we go to this Take Charge Now page, which is kind of our like first step in people's journey within the Career Compass, is we're outlining each of the different elements that are included within the site, but we're talking about it from a how would an employee use this in order to identify their career aspirations and figure out kind of opportunities to grow and be promotion ready. But then also on the other side of that, supervisors are obviously a critical piece of the development journey and have that really pivotal engagement aspect for our employees. And so, how can we have this tool also help our supervisors to then better ensure that their employees are getting that career support that they are. So really trying to break it down for each of our different components, which we'll talk about from not only an employee perspective of how an employee would use this, but also a supervisor. And John and Darnell, feel free to jump in if there's anything to add. So now I want to jump into a couple of the key areas of our site. The first are our career paths. This is one of our most popular areas within the site. And it really serves as a way to illustrate typical movement within our organization for our employees. And so what's really nice is we do have the ability for people to come in and be able to explore every single different career path within all of our different business units here at the CAO. And so just to give you an example, I will click on our logistics and support business unit and our asset management department. And then we'll look at our business analyst. But as you can see, lots of different opportunities and things that people can explore. When they do click on then a particular position, it will take that person to this visual at the bottom where it shows that position that they have clicked on, as well as the potential next steps. Now, that doesn't mean that it is the end all be all for all of the different possibilities, but what we've done is we've looked at data, we've looked at our movement within our organization, and talked to our business units to figure out what are some different pathways. And we also try to really strive, and this is something we're continuously looking at, to not only outline some of those movements that are in the same business unit and same department, which are in these dark navy blue, but also same business unit and a different department, which would be in the lighter blue, and then just a completely different business unit and different department, which is in the gold. And so we've tried to kind of outline all of those different types of steps and really think about how are skills being utilized across the organization to give people a lot of different options. We also have outlined lateral movement as well as upward movement. And then we do have a indicator, it's not on this example, of what we call difficult, which means that you may have to have some formal education or formal training to get to that position that, would not be as easy to obtain just overnight. So something that will require a bit more planning. But when our employees do see this, they are able to click on their position or the position that they've clicked on and see the keyword job responsibilities directly from our position descriptions, our technical competencies, which we'll get into the competency models we have here in a little bit, and then the preferred education and experience. Then when they click over to the position that they're interested in, again, you can see then the key job responsibilities, the competencies, and the preferred education experience. But what's really nice and what we really want to drive our employees to be looking at is this navigating the gap feature. And that's where we've basically really looked at the position description of the current position, the position description of the the movement position, and then outlined what are some key differences and gone ahead and put those in here in our key gap areas to really help them kind of prioritize what are some places to get started as they think about their development for this next position. We also have outlined some gap closure strategies as well. So, again, some items that they can go ahead and prioritize and think about how to take action in order to move to this position. And so we have that outlined for every single connection across our entire organization. Darnell and John, anything to add with career paths?
I would just add a little bit of technical piece there. How do we do this? We engaged and interviewed almost every director and manager throughout the organization to identify what were the most critical areas or functions within different jobs and what was the most likely movement between one job to the next, and what were those expectations that were or the expectations from one job to the other. And then we were able to take some of that, enhance our position descriptions, as well as create this really cool navigation here.
The only thing that I'll add is just underscore what Kate said about navigating the gap. And again, the point that we want to continue to make to our team is that the career paths are position based. They're not necessarily people based. And we have over 400 dynamic and interactive career paths. They can't account for every single situation, but we do account for position. So individuals may come with experience that can help them close the gap in other ways and other jobs. But the key gap areas and the gap closure strategies is something that I think is unique to what we've done with our career paths. And I hope helps differentiate our career development activities from other organizations that I've seen, either when I was at OPM or as a consultant working with federal agencies. But certainly Kate and Darnell have dedicated a lot of time to this, and we're continuing to work on educating our managers, educating our team members on the resources at their disposal.
I just see a question there. What was the time from inception to implementation to getting it to SharePoint? I'm going to say about 18 months, John. I think I get our first iteration of this.
Yeah, so I think we started this effort right around the time, right before COVID. And so, we started with the competency modeling, the job analysis, updating the PDs. And once we had all of those activities and those documents solidified and validated, then we started to build SharePoint. And I do think we're probably in our second or third year of this site and of the Career Compass. So all in all, I think it's been about a 4-year endeavor for us to get to this point where what we're demoing today, and we're constantly updating it. But Darnell, I think you're right, about 18 months from the start and then getting SharePoint launched.
Any other questions, Darnell, that we're seeing?
The position profiles, Kate, how many position profiles do we have? I mean, we have them essentially, we're constantly adding them, right? So we have them for most of the positions, if not 95% of them.
Yeah, I think we are up to over 500, so. All right, any other questions? Are we good, Darnell?
We're good.
Okay, perfect. So those are our career paths. The other area that we do want to highlight as well are our competency models. And so we have 3 different competency models within the CAO. We have our general, that are our foundational competencies for all CAO employees. Our technical competencies are ones that highlight the competencies that are needed within each individual business unit. And then we have our leadership competencies for anyone within our business or in our leadership positions or interested in becoming a leader. And so what's nice is the site outlines each of these different models. And I will highlight a few of them for you just to show you the different elements that we've included when building out these models. And so we have our general competency model here. You can see the 8 different competencies that we highlight. And then when someone is able to click into them, we are able then to give them the definition of what that competency means, the associated knowledge, skills, and abilities. And then what's really nice and something that we continue to work with our employees to really put at the forefront again are these sample behaviors. So how do you show up into your positions in demonstrating that these competencies? So if you are getting feedback that you need to work on collaboration, how can you kind of put that into work and demonstrate those in your day-to-day job? And so we've outlined these sample behaviors from an entry-level position, a mid-level position, and a senior-level position to make sure that we're also helping employees understand different ways that they need to continue to model these competencies and behaviors as they grow throughout the organization. And so as they are also looking to expand their development and showcase that they're promotion ready, how can they also maybe change the way they think about how they're demonstrating these competencies at a next level? And so trying to outline those at different levels. And within each of these as well, and built into the site, we also have a lot of training and development that we associate with each of these different competencies. So, for example, we have a cohort experience called Building Blocks for Success, where we've gone ahead and put all the resources that we use in that experience on the site that people can go ahead and do on their self-paced learning or read certain articles about collaboration and our general competencies. And then we've also developed some other learning and development resources, such as like micro learnings for each of the individual competencies that people can take 15 minutes out of their day and do some guided learning about each of the different competencies, and making sure that we're continuously on the site finding ways to connect those and put the links in the right pages so people have kind of those next steps as they're moving through each of the different pages. I also want to highlight our technical competencies. So here, as I mentioned, we do have technical competencies for each of our different business units. And so we have outlined within each of the business units the core technical competencies that they need. It's the same structure here where if you click on it, that you are able to see the definitions, the KSAs, and the behaviors. But what is something nice that we have in addition to this that we've built out is what we call our crosswalk. And it really is a visual representation of how can I think about my skills across different positions within my business unit. And comms and marketing is not the most exciting example, so I should have chosen another one. Let me go back. Let's go to acquisitions. Um, but here, people are able to really see and begin to see kind of how some of those cross skills utilizations can be used in different areas within their business units. And so, someone can see, I am currently an administrative specialist, but I want to move to somewhere within the office supply and gift store. What are some things that I would potentially need to do in order to move through that?
Okay, and we have a few questions that popped up while you were
Great.
talking. One was the number of staff that are required to support the project. So internally, we have about 3 FTEs that support this on a day-to-day basis, but we also partner with external contractors in the human capital space. And directly supporting our career compass efforts, we have probably about 5 or 6 additional contractors that support us throughout the year. That's one piece. Another one was other L&D resources outside the firewall, such as LinkedIn Learning. Yes, we definitely use LinkedIn Learning, and that's connected to a lot of our learning and development resources. We also use Rise as a way to do some of the micro learning that are quick and easy to learn as well. And this is around learning and development. Kate will probably show you a little bit about, we have some assessments that are connected to the competencies as well. So we'll talk about that, and I'll look at the rest of these questions.
Okay. So something that, we started with obviously the career paths and the competency models. And now, we really are working on taking the elements and helping our employees connect the elements on the site to action. And so how can they take the information here and really build their action plan and their development? And so we've added a few different things that I'm going to highlight that have really helped kind of take all of the different elements and help our employees better understand how they can use them and put them towards their development plans. And so one of those is the competency assessments. And so we now have competency assessments for all 3 of our models, and we actually built it into our learning system here at the CAO. And so what's nice about this is it basically takes all those behaviors that you saw on the site and allows people to go in and give themselves a self-assessment on a 1 to 5 scale of how do they feel like they're being able to deliver on each of those different elements for each of the different competencies. So we have about 5 behaviors per competency that we're asking employees to self-assess on. The assessment feature within our learning system also allows someone to ask their supervisor to also assess them. And so then it gives that good starting point for a conversation of, I see myself here with this competency, but you see me here. Where can we kind of start closing the gap, and how can we work on that together from a development perspective? And so that's something we've had a lot of success with. We also, with the competency, are able then again to directly connect people to learning opportunities based on the competencies that they find through taking the assessment that they have an opportunity for growth on. But it also allows our employees to also see maybe some competencies where they're really excelling on that they can use as a way to talk about their achievements and where they're really kind of showcasing some of their strengths. So that has been a really great development to, again, take those actions of the models and put them into an action-oriented item for our employees. The other elements that have really helped with our action-oriented steps with our employees is, we have all this great resources, and we kept hearing some feedback of, I think the tool is great. I love using it, but I'm a little overwhelmed. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of tools and resources that we have. And so I don't know what should my next steps be? And so based on that feedback, we've launched our handbooks, which are actually a whole year of career development for our employees that basically takes all the different elements within our Career Compass site and puts them into a bite-sized checklist of small items they can do each month in order to work on their career development. And so month 1 starts with exploration and self-reflection. And then month 2 has them starting to explore the career paths and some competencies, and then they can move through their career journey.
Couple of questions that have come into Kate. One, our approach to developing the competency models. And so when we first started this endeavor, we looked at a representative sample of employees and managers across the organization and asked them to identify the top competencies that made them successful to do their job. Just generally, which is how we came up with our general competency models using common competencies that are used in the workplace. And the same thing for leadership, looking at some of those most important competencies at a leadership level, and then validated those, and we came up with five general and seven leadership, where I always mix them up. We came up with our foundational pieces there. And we're going to validate those again in the next year to see if there's any updates that need to occur. Another one around how do we track and manage data when we're using different learning. How do we track and manage the data from learning opportunities in disparate systems? Kate, I'll let you take that one if you like.
Yeah, of course. So with our analytics for our site, we are able to see downloads, clicks, all of that engagement. And so that helps us really hone in onto what are the different areas that we need to really kind of think about, and what's resonating with our employees, where it can inform our training strategies and our development strategies as well. But then for our assessments, we are able, since it is in our learning system, we are able to have some high level data from that as well that helps us understand from an employee perspective what competencies are maybe opportunities that we really need to hone in on as an organization for training purposes. And so, it's something that we're starting just to get data on, since our competency assessments are fairly new. But it does live in a separate system, to your point, but it does allow us to kind of connect through employee connections that we're then able to kind of combine the data to figure out where are different elements from it going to work. So
just a couple of things that I would add to Darnell's point about the competency models. We did work with industrial organizational psychologists that helped us with our process to make sure that we had a reliable, valid methodology. And it was interesting, as we went through, we basically spiraled the development of the competency models based on our business units. And we started with one of our larger business units, and it took us longer than we anticipated, but we learned a lot of lessons and were able to compress our process as we went through, and we picked up a lot of steam when we were kind of winding up and finishing the competency models. The other question here about mentoring and coaching, we don't formally integrate coaching into our programs. We have and have had a formal mentoring program. However, we've shifted our focus really on mentoring for our new employees. So within the last 18 months, we launched a new initiative called the Professional Enrichment Program, where it's a 1-year onboarding and orientation program for all new CAO staff. And we have monthly events and activities that we run throughout the year, and then we partner them up with another CAO staffer. So they're getting exposure to these tools and resources during that 1-year orientation. And we're also doing a lot of work with our managers and supervisors to make sure that they understand and utilize the tools and resources that are at their disposal. Kate, I don't know if you want to talk a minute about our Career Compass Month and the events and activities that you ran for us during that month, because we did see a tremendous uptick on utilization and hits to the Career Compass.
yeah, absolutely. So every August we have deemed that CAO Career Compass Month. And so what's nice about that is we're continuously engaging with the employees then during August, which is our member recess here. So our employees typically have a bit more time to engage in development activities during that month. So we want to prioritize that. And so we have a different theme each week. And we highlight different aspects of the Career Compass that maybe people aren't as frequently using or maybe aren't as aware of. Within each of those weeks, we have a newsletter that highlights highlights some of the stories that we've highlighted at the beginning. And then we have corresponding programming. And so some of that looks like for us, performance management. How do you think about performance management conversations and career conversations together? Some of that is networking events. We had a huge thing called Creating Career Conversations, where we had people across all of the CAO come and each transition between different tables with different activities related to career development. So some of it was talking about networking and how do you network in a kind of informal way, while others were like, I have this question about career that I've always wanted to ask. How can I get advice from some of our senior leadership here at the CAO? And so trying to find those moments throughout our career compass month in order to connect what our employees are experiencing and how they're looking to develop with the site. Again, just helping them connect those dots of how they can use the site in a new and different way on an ongoing basis. Oh, Darnell, you're on mute.
Thanks, Kate. I'm tracking time. We have about 15 minutes. And then we have a couple of questions. I want to give, of course, time for Q&A as well. Kate, are there any other pieces of the Career Compass that you'd like to demonstrate right now?
No, I think I'll just highlight last. I won't show it, but we also have our individual development roadmaps. That's our version of the individual development plans. And so everything we also do is rooted in encouraging employees to have those individual development plans and build out based on all the resources here in the Career Compass. And so that's another aspect of this where we're trying, again, to connect the dots and help those conversations form from a career development perspective and building a career development plan. So that is it for the site. So I will stop sharing, Darnell, and I know that you have one last piece and
Yeah.
then questions.
Cool. We do have some lessons learned that we'll share now with you. And for those of you who are interested, we also do have a slide deck that does a little overview of all of the pieces that Kate shared in her navigation. We'll get those to you. So let me. So you'll see some of this as I move throughout. All right. So quickly, I wanted to share with y'all some of the lessons learned that we learned along the way. What worked well for us is, yeah, as we started in the beginning, there was a really strong connection to our strategy, and our executive leadership bought into this and has supported us throughout the evolution of our program. We do really good job of orienting new staff on the resources. So all new employees go through our PEP program that we call the Professional Enrichment Program, where they get connected to a mentor, a buddy along the way, but also a lot of the activities are rooted into our competencies and Career Compass tools. This centralized location that we're using on that's built upon SharePoint has been really a great place because there's one place for people to go to get information, visualizing our career paths, really demystifying what that growth looks like and giving people an opportunity to navigate maybe outside of a area that that they're currently in or outside of a job that they're currently in. Really for us, because we're small but nimble team, utilizing an agile learning approach, really evolving the types of learning activities that we're utilizing, and also tapping into various different ways so people can do on demand. We have face-to-face, we have web-based conversations, we have a cohort experience. We also have kind of roundtable discussions with individuals. So those are some of the things that we're consistently doing from a learning perspective and trying to keep it fresh and not stale. So if people go through one season of growth and development around these activities, that they're getting a different flavor of it in another year. Kate talked about the career stories and how that's been a really great addition to staff, seeing how other people have grown. Some of our challenges. So this lack of a career coaching skills, the more and the deeper we get into career growth and career development, we know that employees are taking it on head on. But also we want to prepare our managers around this idea of kind of career coaching. What do those conversations look like? Because it may look very different based on the individual or staff that they're working with. The reality that we have is we have a very high tenure and low turnover rate with our organization, which makes maybe an open position or the next step take a little bit longer for some individuals who are looking to grow from a position perspective. Transferable skills, huge. You see that career path that shows a huge amount of opportunities, but helping people figure out what that transferable skill set could be moving to another job. And although being agile in our learning works well, it continues to be something that we have to stay in front of from a development and programmatics perspective. And then for opportunities for growth, really expanding the definition of the experience of development. And what that means is it's not just moving to another job, simplifying it, it's, expanding people's skill sets or, building in some new bullets on a resume, giving them an opportunity to grow laterally and become SMEs. Expanding experiences that people are having so they're prepared for other jobs, and we're getting into some of those things. And then of course developing that coaching culture and mindset across management, kind of connecting to that expanded definition, expanding the engagement that managers may have and the conversations they may have with staff. And then finally, just ensuring that we're integrating it into performance management and our processes and outcomes, but also I would say integrating it into all existing programming that connects to the life cycle of employees. So those are some of the lessons learned along the way. And I'm pretty sure there's probably other questions or comments, and we'll kind of open it up.
Darnell, let me jump in and piggyback on what you're saying in terms of this is mapped out very well and opportunities for the future and challenges. And Gary had a question about lessons learned and activities that the agencies could replicate if they're going down this path. Some things that I would add to that just generally is one, start with your competencies. If you have your competency models, that will serve as the foundation for everything you need to do for what you've seen us demo today. The other thing is, I think, find a willing partner, a willing business unit. We were very fortunate to have executive level buy-in from the very start. We also have, a small part of our workforce is unionized. So we met with the unions prior to going down this road, so they understood that what we're doing is going to be great for their members and great for the employees and helping to provide career paths. So I think you have to manage your stakeholder relationships as much as possible. But once you have some buy-in, I worked with a consulting company and worked for a consulting company in between my time at OPM and my time here for about 7 years, and we worked with one of the largest cabinet level departments to build career paths. And so we spiraled in the career paths for their workforce, starting with some of the positions that were most common: HR, acquisitions, finance. And once you start to pick up that momentum, we were able to bring it to other parts of the workforce as well. So I think what you see on the screen here provides some great examples of what we did, where we still recognize that there are challenges and where we want to go in the future. This is not static at all. So Gary, hopefully this slide with some of the comments that I've made provide a little bit more context. Darnell, Kate, anything else that you would weigh in terms of lessons learned beyond what we were just talking about for the last couple of minutes?
I would also say listen to your staff, and we use engagement, the engagement study as a really good piece of feedback for us to get the pulse of what people are feeling and experiencing around career development and career growth. It's helped us kind of refine our programming and focus from year to year, sometimes month to month. So keeping that loop of feedback open in everything you do, every time we're engaging with people, getting that feedback and getting people to feel comfortable with really sharing what they experience and desire moving forward.
We launched our first, well, we were dormant on engagement surveys for a long time. And in 2020, we launched our first survey in several years. And our lowest rated survey item at the time was, I see a path for advancement. And, we kind of smiled when we saw that, because we were already going down this road of building competency models, career paths, and our career compass. We just hadn't launched it yet. So we've seen a pretty good uptick in those survey results. And we don't survey every year, but we survey every other year. It really allows us to realize, some good programmatic enhancements, and we're not caught in like a cycle of constant action planning. We're able to bring some results to bear. And, I would say, Kate, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're so close with those numbers. From 2020 to 2022 to 2024, our career path numbers have gone up 15% in the organization. What's the number? I don't know if it's that high, but
I think between 2020 and then 2024, it's just slightly below that. But yeah, I mean, we continuously year over year to see improvement. And so I think that's the really good element of it, is that, we are seeing that response from employees, that these tools are making a difference.
we also have very high participation rates in our employee engagement survey, over 70%. We don't utilize all of OPM's questions for FEVs, but we benchmarked 15, and we outperform the government-wide average on all 15. And when we look at the small agency comparisons, less than 1,000 employees, we outperform the small agency government-wide average on 13 of the 15 items. And some of those, like when we're underperforming, it's about like a 1.5 percentage points below. But in some of the areas, we're 10 to 12 percentage points higher than the small agency government-wide average.
Including leaders support my professional development, which, I think directly correlates to us providing the tools to the supervisors in order to give them the help that they need in order to guide some of that support.
As the former OPMer, was involved with, the creation and kind of the rollout of the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey back in the early 2000s. I kind of wish we were measured against OPM through the partnerships efforts, because we would definitely be one of the best places to work in government. We're kind of a best kept secret, but certainly you can tell with Kate's passion, energy, enthusiasm, experiences. By the way, Kate didn't mention this, but we stole her from Disney. And I like to say that nobody says that Congress is the happiest place on earth, but Kate, through her efforts and Darnell's leadership, are making this a very happy place to work.
Indeed. So I like to say always, teamwork makes the dream work for us. And I would say one parting comment would be, this is not a one size fits all. For those of us who are in the work, recognize the realities of your work environments and agencies, and figure out how fast or slow you can go based on those realities. But always, keep that in mind, that to kind of do what makes sense for where the organization is and what you're ready for.
Great. Team, thank you so much, Darnell, Kate, John. I really appreciate this, showcasing this wonderful tool that you guys built in essence in SharePoint of all things. So as you said, you stretched the limits of SharePoint to put this out there. It looks phenomenal. As you saw from the questions that were up there, they really gravitated toward this, and I think people want this for their own agencies as well. So again, thank you all. I think our peak participation was over 36 individuals today, and just want to remind everyone that registrations for the TOC program year are still up. You still can go in and register for that. I know we're still waiting on FY25 funds for those of us in the federal sphere. And registration will continue to be open. Also, we have our TOC 25 coming up. So website is up, as you can see. You can register today and see the various links that we have available. And this video, as well as the materials that the Darnell's team is going to provide, will have that available as well shortly. So again, thank you so much. We got about 2 minutes remaining. Are there any lasting questions for TOC or the team?
Joy, the only thing that I'll add, I was going to drop this in the chat. We have met with individual agencies. So if anyone on the call wants to have a deeper conversation about our process, or if you would like us to demo it for your agency to show what's possible, just reach out to us. We'll be happy to spend some time with you.
Wonderful. You will hear from me. However, there's a lot of people saying thank you for your guys' showcase. And we will definitely have the POC posted as well. All right, with that being said, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for joining us for Tuesdays with TOC. And we'll see you at the next Tuesday with TOC.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. There we go.